Welcome in to another episode of Betting the Pitch. I am your host, the real underscore G Warner on Twitter. And let's just say we are doing a late night edition as I switch microphones because apparently that wasn't queued up. My bad. It's late. It's past midnight Central Time in beautiful Dallas, Texas. And I don't know how beautiful it is at the moment because it's dark out, but we're doing it. And here's what we got on the itinerary for today. We're going to go through the FA Cup, which there are a lot of teams that I've never heard of playing. So that might be a little bit quicker than normal, but have a normal slate of Serie A and also La Liga, so Italy and Spain. There are some Coupe de France matches this weekend, but I'm not prepared for them yet. Maybe that'll come out as a Saturday podcast tomorrow on Friday for Saturday. I just think it's a similar situation with the FA Cup where there's a million teams I probably don't know anything about, and the Germans just, I guess, are never going to play football again, is what it seems like to me. With that said, all lines quoted in this podcast are courtesy of betonline.ag, my favorite place to get my bets down early. Reduced juices offered almost every game you want to bet right up until game time. Please follow the link found in the podcast description below to fund your account and use the promo code GW50 to receive a 50% match bonus up to $1,000. Gonna go through and pick a best bet for each of the leagues we're covering, so we'll figure out what we're gonna do in the FA Cup. There's some decent Premier League on Premier League crime this weekend. Shouldn't have a problem in Serie A or in La Liga. Also going to read a recent 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you for those. They keep rolling in. I really appreciate that. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please hit subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and you'll get read on the next podcast, hopefully. Spotify, appreciate if you're doing it there as well. I've not been checking those, but I will get there sooner rather than later. As I hear all these sounds in the background, let's make sure I'm on. Well, it's so late at night that I'm on sleep focus. I didn't even think about it. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Need like 9 million more of you to start actually getting advertising on there, which is insane because I know they used to do it if you just made an account. But I'm going to stop complaining and I'm going to get to what you're all here for. And that is the English FA Cup. So we have a Friday match and it's Manchester United hosting Everton. Currently Manchester United, a 1.25 goal favorite. Over under is 2 3/4. As everyone probably listening to this podcast knows, I do like myself some underdogs. I do not like Everton whatsoever. They are, I said it before the season, they look like a relegation side. It's looked even worse since the international break. And I got to say, Frank Lampard, like, why is he still employed? I just like the decisions that they're making end of games against Wolves and then just really throughout the entire match against Brighton and then like capitulating completely and just giving up. I mean, maybe it's not Frank's fault. I don't know what to say. The team is horrible and they can't score goals. They can't defend. They try to go all out defending because they need to, or else they'd ship millions of goals, as we saw from Carlo Ancelotti, now the Real Madrid manager. He was playing 4 center backs at a time, just trying to do his best. It's gotten worse, and that team should be blown up, and hopefully it goes. I mean, I don't want to see a big club with all the history go down, but they are a disaster, and I plan to bet against them as much as I can. This is not one of those situations because I don't really lay goals in a sport that can go to extra time. Everton do kind of throw people off the scent with these random draws, like the one at the Etihad against City, which is awful on City, but maybe a good performance. And Everton used all the bullets in their chamber in that one. I don't know. Manchester United are starting to play well. I'm not looking to fade them. Moving to Saturday, we have Tottenham hosting Portsmouth. Tottenham giving 2.25 goals. Tottenham need to get right. This is a good chance to do it against an inferior side. Reading, a slight favorite at home to Watford. Watford surprising because they have all those parachute payments from going down. Might look into that one a little bit, though I haven't not been keeping up with the championship, and that certainly is a demanding league. Crystal Palace, a 0.5 goal favorite to Southampton. Now that's two Premier League teams, the Premier League on Premier League crime, as I said earlier. Palace 0.5 goal favorite, all the juice, over under is 2.5. I don't really believe in the Crystal Palace offense, I must say, but I certainly don't believe in Southampton. They look, I mean, I am shocked they filed Ralph Hasenhüttl for. Certainly, you could say that they need to change some things, but firing him for some no-name guy that looks just angry and completely out of his realm, out of his sphere, out of his, I don't know. He looks like he doesn't add anything. Don't even know his name at this point. Southampton have no goals in their team whatsoever. Bringing in Tara Moffi from Football Club Lorient from Liga, that sounds like a really great signing for a team that's going to be in the championship. I mean, there's fortunately only 3 teams get relegated from the Premier League, but there's so many that look like they want to. I think if anything, I'd lean under 2.5 because I don't think that Crystal Palace really score goals. At home, I guess it's much more likely than it is away, but sheesh. Forest Green then hosts Birmingham. Yeah. Preston hosts Huddersfield. Preston a half a goal favorite. I think I had that on my guesses. Gillingham a 2.5, a 2-goal underdog to Leicester at home. Over under is 3. So that one's a little bit interesting to me because Gillingham are still around in the Carabao Cup based on getting through Brighton and Hove Albion on penalties, literally playing for no goals. That was their whole hope, dream, everything. Leicester's a really nice situation for them. 2-goal favorite on the road. Certainly all the pressure, but is there any pressure in the third round of the FA Cup? Probably not. It's a good chance for Leicester to get some rest. Probably for a lot of their players are very happy to get this draw. I think Gillingham are like a 4th division, like barely even professional side. If anything, I lean under 3 here because Gillingham are going to do the same exact thing they did last time and against Brighton. And I feel like even if they did go one behind, they're probably playing defense till the 85th minute, just trying to will their way to penalties and maybe find something off a corner kick or a set piece. Leicester certainly aren't the team that you would trust to never make a mistake defensively, but they shouldn't have a lot of pressure. So lean under 3, Gillingham, Leicester. Hull City then host Fulham, a 1-goal underdog at home to the Premier League side that's been playing really well. Over under is 2.75. I imagine Fulham take this as an opportunity to rest some players, but I mean, pretty strong line here, given the full goal of insurance. I'm not exactly sure where Hull City are. And I guess that's what I'll do for most of this podcast, just give a Premier League's point of view for how this match will go. Next is Blackpool hosting Nottingham Forest. Blackpool, a half-a-goal underdog at home. All the juice on Nottingham Forest. Over-under is 2.5. Nottingham Forest, clearly, I mean, they've spent more money than almost anybody and done more transfers. So I'm sure they have a much better team than Blackpool. Going on the road's a weird thing because just until this match against Southampton, hadn't scored a goal on the road in a very long time. Fortunately, their competition will be easier in another situation where they're trying to fight to stay in the league. I can't imagine they'll be risking some important players to them, and this could be a rotated lineup. Bournemouth then hosts Burnley. Bournemouth, a 1/4-goal favorite with all the juice on Burnley on the road, which is saying something considering Burnley did not look great against Premier League competition in the Carabao Cup, which took place right before Christmas, I want to say. Over under is 2.5 in this one. And I mean, Bournemouth set piece marking on corners specifically is incredibly horrible. I imagine anyone playing them is, including former Manchester City defender, who I can't think of his name. I can picture him, bald guy, but Vincent Kompany. I'm sure everyone is picking those things apart, trying to get corners. It probably won't matter as much with Bournemouth at home and facing a championship side, though Burnley, certainly those parachute payments should be pretty strong. Clearly the market likes Burnley. I would expect Bournemouth to be a little bit bigger of a favorite, I think, especially not with all the juice on Burnley pushing this down towards Pick'em. I'd lean to under 2.5, but I think Burnley are playing a different way, and Bournemouth, I just don't trust their corner kicks at all. So I think I actually lean over. Boreham, Accrington, never heard of those two. Chesterfield, 1-goal underdog to West Bromwich Albion. I think I expected West Brom to be favored, maybe not to this level. Ipswich, a 3/4-goal favorite to Rotherham. Middlesbrough, a 3/4 underdog at home to Brighton. Brighton with all the juice on the road. Over under is 2.5 in this one. And Brighton, I mean, maybe it was Everton, but certainly Brighton have threw things in my face after betting under. And honestly, I was planning to bet under and Everton in their last match. I'm glad I only went for one. Both would have lost and lost miserably. Brighton have looked really good. I still feel like it's going to come back and things aren't going to go well. They've been zigzagging when they don't have a good performance. Then I get on them and bet the other side. They've come back really well the next time. This probably means they don't do very well in East London against Middlesbrough, but not too difficult or too far of a trip for them. And I don't really know what to make of Brighton at this point. I think they're clearly a better side than Middlesbrough, though. Millwall then hosts Sheffield United at Pickham. Sheffield United with all of the juice right now. Look like they're trending towards a quarter of a goal favorite. Over under is 2.5. Middlesbrough not in London, actually. I was thinking of Millwall. Anyway, who cares? Shrewsbury hosts Sunderland. Shrewsbury half a goal underdog at home. Yeah, okay. Fleetwood Town 3/4 goal underdog at home to QPR. Brentford a pick'em right now to West Ham, another Premier League on Premier League crime. And Brentford with a really good performance, smacking around West Ham the last time they played, just I think a week ago. Wish these matchups didn't repeat. Wish there was a rule in the draws that they couldn't, but I guess that would be a little bit unfair. Brentford with all the juice right now. They deserve it. Ivan Toney, they're the yawns, but this is a good reason for that because they're at 12-17 here. Ivan Toney's can't imagine he's available for this one, whether it's betting rules or injury. And that certainly impacts who Brentford are at this point and how likely they are to score goals, especially in the favorites position. West Ham, on the other hand, I don't know how you can trust them to do anything of note. Over under is 2.25 in this one. I would lean under because I don't think there are a lot of goals in this matchup. But Brentford have been scoring plenty, and that certainly causes some problems. The West Ham defense is not great. Their offense is worse, and I think I'm looking to go against West Ham more than anything right now. Coventry then hosts Wrexham of, I guess, FX fame here in the United States. Coventry half a goal favorite, over under is 2.75. I don't know that I have any interest in that one. Luton Town hosts Wigan, half a goal favorite at home with all the juice. Looks like that's climbing even higher. Grimsby and Burton Albion are pick'em. Grimsby a little bit more juice at home. Sheffield Wednesday, a 1.25 goal underdog at home to Newcastle. Over under is 2.75. Newcastle certainly have a spot to rest players. Had a great draw, goalless, clean sheet at Arsenal. Really hard to do. And I imagine that this will be a good night off for a lot of their best players. I question the Newcastle goal scoring, but ultimately it probably means their defense comes down a little bit here because they're not playing their best players. And then I'm not sure I trust Newcastle to score a ton of goals. But so I guess I lean under 2.75. Sheffield Wednesday, I'm not really sure where they stand, but I know they're not in the Premier League, so they're definitely a step down in competition from the Premier League leaders. Last but not least, Liverpool hosts Wolves. Liverpool, a 1.5 goal favorite at home at Anfield. Over under is 3. I don't know where Wolves are going to get to 3 goals in their matches. I think Lopetegui's kind of shown what he's going to do, and that's try to stall every game out as much as possible. It's worked fairly well, though Everton certainly handed them 3 points on a silver platter or a blue platter or a pitch-colored platter, whatever. I just don't think I want to trust Wolves going to hang at Anfield. I think it could get ugly. Don't need League 2 matches or League 1. Okay, back to the FA Cup on Sunday. Bristol City, a pick'em with Swansea. Swansea more juice on the road. Derby County, a half a goal favorite at home to Barnsley. Norwich, a 3/4 goal favorite to Blackburn Rovers. Wonder if they're going to come back to the Premier League again and get relegated next year. Hartlepool United, a 1.25 goal underdog to Stoke. That's saying something because I know Stoke has not been great. Cardiff City hosting Leeds, a half a goal underdog at home. Over under is 2.5. This is a spot for Leeds to really kind of get going. They've had a pretty tough schedule, though I don't know that West Ham in the midweek was really that difficult. But points haven't really been flowing to him. I wonder how hot Jesse Marsh's seat has been getting, though he had a great close to the year before entering into the World Cup break. Going to, I think Cardiff City is in Wales. That shouldn't be too ridiculous of a travel, but maybe a little bit different. Leeds is favored less than a goal, though, says something about that the market doesn't expect that to be a dominant performance. Stockport hosts Walsall, not worth talking about even more. Aston Villa, 2.25 goal favorite to Stevenage. Over under is 3. That's a pretty high number, but I think there's a huge difference in these two leagues. And last but not least, on Sunday is Manchester City hosting Chelsea, another match. I think, will be the third match they played this year, maybe even more than that. Man City, a 1-goal favorite with all the juice right now, like really monstrous juice. Looks like it should be more like 1.5. Over unders 2 3/4. Chelsea in a home match today, Thursday. Now it's Friday, I guess, when I'm recording, but whatever. They unfortunately they're a defensive team that don't score a lot of goals. Going to the Etihad is going to be really hard. But if Arsenal can go, if Everton can go in there and draw, certainly Chelsea could. I thought they played fairly competitively in the Carabao Cup a couple rounds ago, but lost 2-0. I don't know. I feel like I don't really believe in the Manchester City team, and the results have not been flowing lately. But over under 2 3/4, I think I would expect under in that one. But I don't know if I really want to play too much with that one. This is really hard to do. But Oxford United then hosts Arsenal on Monday in the last FA Cup game. Arsenal a 2 1/4 goal favorite on the road. Over unders 3 1/4. I imagine Arsenal run rampant. They're really deep, and I don't even know who Oxford United are. But now give a best bet for this one before we get through and move on to the leagues that I'll actually have a little bit more to speak of, because teams I follow are playing teams I follow. Nothing to do with Everton, Tottenham. This is going to be hard to go through. I do lean under in that Southampton, under 2.5 in Southampton match. Also under 3 in Leicester, Gillingham. And I know this is not great for podcasts, because at least if you're videoing, you can see me scrolling down my computer as quickly as possible to figure out. This is also my first look, not getting married, but first look, just to give you my off the dome impressions of where I might go potentially for some best bets. I think knowing what Gillingham is going to put out to do against Leicester, and I don't think they will trouble the Leicester defense at all. I think there's a fairly good chance this pushes on 3. But that would be either a cover for one of the teams ultimately. I'll go under 3 in the Leicester Gillingham match on Saturday in the FA Cup. And now we're going to get to the real stuff that everyone's really looking around for, because I don't think that will be as part of my ultimate best bet. It's going to be one of the matches between La Liga or Serie A. Here we are. Okay, now we move to La Liga. We have Friday matches. Elche hosting Celta de Vigo. Currently, Elche a 0.5 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Over unders 2 1/4. Elche are like far adrift right now at the bottom of the league. Celta de Vigo are getting better, but haven't really had a good start to the season either. It's a little bit weird to see Celta de Vigo favored on the road, but they are facing a team that looks like almost assured relegation candidate who's been through 3 or 4 managers, I think, this season. Not a great feeling, especially because Celta want to play aggressively offensively. This Elche need to start doing stuff, and I don't know what's going to happen with that club, but they're pretty much a no touch for me as an underdog, and I don't think I want to play them with it as an under lean against a really potentially strong offense. I guess Celta de Vigo has fallen off quite a bit as well. 2 teams I don't like playing against each other probably means skip. Valencia then hosts Cadiz. Currently, Valencia a 1-goal favorite. Over unders 2.5. And their defensive performance against Villarreal was horrible, including a late 90 or so minute corner kick concession where they just didn't even cover some guy in the box. Valencia were replacing some injured defenders. I think they picked up some more with Comer potentially getting knocked out in that match, but coming back and playing because no one cares about concussion rules in this world. Cadiz can't score goals, though, so that's a pretty good sign. It makes me lean under 2.5 more so than backing Cadiz, because I don't like them. They had a really good run into the World Cup, but looked pretty poor, desperate. Offense was nothing. And they got a late equalizer to steal a point, which is good for them, but they're still fighting to get out of relegation. I think we'll be doing that all season. Moving to Saturday, Villarreal hosting Real Madrid. Currently, Villarreal a 1/4 goal underdog at home. Over unders 2 3/4. Wow, that number is very short. It's been short since I started staring at it earlier today. This is not my first look, but ultimately, based on what I still don't trust. I mean, Gerard Moreno missed one of the most point blank chances in the opener of La Liga when it returned. Probably only done worse by Alexander Sorloth in the Real Sociedad match. Real Madrid didn't play very well at all. Maybe that's what this number is reflecting against Valladolid, but they got a penalty late, which I think was deserved. They got another goal added on late to cover the spread, kill everything but the under if you were back in Real Valladolid, which was brutal. But that's what Real Madrid literally do every match, it seems. I don't know if there's some injury concerns here. This one does look like it's trending towards a half of a goal, as Real Madrid have all the juice as we speak, or as I speak. Over unders 2 3/4. I don't really have much of a feel for anything. I think under, if anything, because I think Villarreal, but also it's hard to know what Villarreal's setup will be as a big underdog. We know what it would be with Unai Emery, but with Quique Setien, I don't trust that guy at all. He's horrible. And I'm looking forward to betting against Villarreal, though I do have a future on them to finish, I think, in a Champions League position. Certainly didn't help that their manager left, chased some money to England, and they replaced him with a guy who is an auto fade ultimately. Next match is Mallorca hosting Valladolid. Very sad result from Valladolid. They deserved a lot more, but it kind of happens to them a lot, unfortunately. Mallorca with a really bad performance, losing at Getafe, and should have, we're essentially a pick 'em. I was very close to backing them. Glad I didn't. Things didn't go very well for them. It was a 1.5 total, I want to say, and they lost 2-0 thanks to a couple late goals. Currently Mallorca half a goal favorite to Valladolid. Over under is 2.25, and I don't know where the goals are going to come from in this one, honestly. Both these teams, Mallorca want to play as defensively as possible. I think they've had a really good start to the season and are in pretty good shape to survive. Of course, there's a long season to go. Valladolid probably not the same, and they've given up a lot of late goals, which does make that half of a goal underdog on the road a little bit less interesting to me than that under 2.25 overall. This one looks like it's heading towards 2, a flat 2 for the total. Might see some odds there though, so it might be worth it, and certainly that push on 2 is important. But lean to Valladolid and that under 2.25. Espanyol then hosts Girona. And Espanyol, a quarter goal favorite at home. Over under is 2.5. A huge draw for them against Barcelona with all this ridiculous yellow cards from Mateo Lahoz. No one respects him, clearly. And I don't know what La Liga are doing, putting him out there still. It was amazing that FIFA sent him home from the World Cup, considering he did, I think, a semifinal match. But I used to like him, but he's lost his mind and no one respects him, and he gives out cards because of it, though he deserves it. Espanyol, I don't trust them to score goals, really. Jose Lu Mata is literally all they have. Jose Lu's great, but they can't really feed him. I think Girona have been very competitive. All the teams that have come up have been so far. And I really like that side, getting a quarter of a goal from Espanyol, and I think I lean to under 2.5 as well, because I don't know where goals come from for either of these teams. Almeria then hosts Real Sociedad. Almeria half a goal underdog at home. Over under is 2.25. Real Sociedad with a good performance. They didn't surrender any chances to Osasuna in their home opener after the World Cup break, and that's literally all you can do to win matches, because they don't score goals very, very efficiently. They did get 2. Don't know necessarily that they were. They certainly missed a really easy chance with Sorloth, but also got pretty fortunate on a goal. So maybe that comes out in the wash. I do like Almeria at home. I think home dogs, really across all sports, are something that very interests me at this moment. Over under is 2.25, and I don't really think Sociedad is. They've had better results away from home this year, but I think they come back to earth a little bit with those. And I think goals are going to be tough. So I lean under 2.25 into the home dog, getting a half in Almeria. Rayo Vallecano then hosts Real Betis. Currently Rayo, a quarter goal favorite. Over under is 2.25. Real Betis have not had a really good run lately. They were underdogs at home to Athletic Club Bilbao in their return from the World Cup break. That's not a huge amount of faith in them. Though Rayo are going to try to be a counterattacking side, and that's not a great setup for a favorite, especially against a better team that has way more talent. Betis probably has some suspensions because Nabil Fekir just can't get out of his own way and does that all the time, or others, or defenders, all that sort of stuff. But based on if both teams are healthy and everyone was available, I'll be very interested in Real Betis getting that quarter. I doubt that is the case. And honestly, playing an under with Rayo is tough because they can score goals and despite not wanting to have the ball at all, really. And Real Betis definitely have mistakes in them, plus some goal scorers themselves. With all that said, I feel like I still lead under 2.25 here, but I think I like Real Betis even more than that, getting that quarter. Sevilla then hosts Getafe. Sevilla, a 3/4 goal favorite. Where does that come from? I mean, Getafe were an underdog on the road against Levante in midweek, but sheesh, in the Copa del Rey. But Sevilla have not done anything all season. One of the best get-rich-quick schemes, I think, for me in the first half of the season, which is blindly bet against Sevilla as a favorite every time you get a chance. And I think it worked out almost every time this season. Over-under is 2, not a lot of goals expected. It seems like Getafe are going to be lined like that the rest of the season. But with good reason, because I don't know where the goals come from. I do think that getting the 3/4 of a goal is higher than it should be. Sevilla have to win by multiple goals, which seems very unlikely based on the over-under of 2. And so I guess if Getafe lose 1-0, you win the under, you lose half of your bet on Getafe. They could certainly win as well. I think I lean to Getafe and under. Last on Sunday is Atletico Madrid hosting Barcelona. Excuse me. Atleti, a 1/4 goal underdog at home, over under is 2.5. I'm not really in a position to back my Atleti. I don't really believe in who they are, who they want to be, who they will be, especially with all the rumors of who they're selling. Barcelona with a ridiculous, it was a penalty, I guess. Were they scoring many goals against Espanyol? I don't really know. But then the yellow card wave came, and who knows, picking up the pieces after that. Probably was a good tactic for Espanyol. They had no control on the road at Camp Nou. Lean to Atleti as a home underdog, of course, but I don't know. I mean, there could be goals in this matchup. Under 2.5, I think, is probably another lean for me. But unders with Barcelona doesn't make a lot of sense because they are going all out attack every time. It's worked for them pretty well in La Liga so far this season. This is a big test for them, though. I got to say, Atleti a lot of times are a home underdog in the situation against Barcelona, against Real Madrid, and it hasn't really gone very well for them over the last few years, ever since they won the title, and even that season when they did. Moving to Monday, Athletic Club Bilbao, a 3/4 goal favorite to Osasuna. A bit of a Basque derby, but not obviously the biggest one. Over-under is 2.25 in this one. And where do the goals come from? That's a really big question for me. I think Osasuna I think, have some suspensions and injuries to worry about in their defense, which does make that 3/4 of a goal spread look a little bit shorter than probably should be. Probably not looking to back Osasuna on the road, especially after their performance against Real Sociedad, where they didn't do anything offensively without a +1 in my pocket. Athletic Club's offense is really not great, though, and I don't trust it, especially the Williams brothers going off to the World Cup. And really, I'm not sure they're very efficient anyway. So I think I lean under 2.25 as my strongest lean in that one. So I'm going to give a best bet for Spain, La Liga, and then I guess I'll do Italy after that. Read the most recent review. Appreciate that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Please leave some more if you can on Spotify, on YouTube, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. But finishing Spanish La Liga, or maybe I'll read that and then I'll go through Italy just so everyone's no, first I'm going with the first plan. Anyway, I'm gonna stop thinking about this out loud. Nothing really for Elche match. Valencia, Cadiz lean under 2.5. Scary to play unders with Valencia in their current situation defensively, though. Villarreal seem too cheap to me at this point. Real Madrid, I think, will overcome them. I do like the Valladolid getting 1/2, but also that under 2.25. That one looks nice to me right now. Girona +1/4 and under 2.5. I like at Espanyol. Almeria, a 1/2 goal underdog at home and under 2.25 correlated, work pretty well to a tight match. Sociedad will probably win 1-0 on the road and you split, but could be worth it. Real Betis I like, but I want to see what that lineup looks like. Getting a 1/4 at Rayo Vallecano. Lean both under 2 and +3/4 on Getafe visiting Sevilla. Not sure I want to touch Atletico Madrid at all. And I do lean to that under 2.25 and Osasuna and Athletic Club Bilbao. But that it is a little bit scary to play unders with potentially 2 important defensive players missing for Osasuna as the road team and road underdog. So I'm going to go under 2.25, and Mallorca Valladolid is my best bet for Spanish La Liga for this weekend. And now we're going to go through the Italian Serie A. and then I will read the 5-star review and give you an ultimate best bet and sign us off out of here. So Fiorentina hosts Sassuolo. Currently, Fiorentina a 3-quarter goal favorite. Don't really believe in their offense, but the Sassuolo defense is bad. Over/under is 2 3/4. I don't think I have much interest in Sassuolo. They need to prove that they're competitive, coherent. They have ability to do things, because it was a pretty ugly first half of the season. Juventus then hosts Udinese. Currently, Juventus a 3-quarter goal favorite. Over/under is 2.5. I still don't believe in Juve to score goals, and I love their strategy for unders because they usually shut up shop with a 1-0 lead. I don't think that makes sense, but that's the way Allegri does it. Udinese with a great performance in the first half, really kind of hurt by the World Cup break, unfortunately. I think that will hurt a lot of their momentum. I want to see getting probably a +1 before I get too involved with them, though I do lean to Udinese getting 3/4 of a goal, because Juve aren't really the type to beat you by more than one if you're a competent team. But under 2.5 is probably my strongest lean there. Monza then hosts Inter Milan. Currently, Monza a 1-goal underdog at home. Over/under is 2 3/4. Inter are not the same Inter they've been for a few years. Monza have put a lot of money into their team, recently promoted from Serie B. I don't know if getting a full goal of insurance at home is a pretty nice situation to be in. I'm going to be thinking about that one a lot more, but I don't know that I feel that strongly about it yet. And I don't really have an over-under feel, because I feel like Monza want to score goals to hang in matches, and that's not great for unders, especially not really a great strategy against Inter, who want to counterattack you to death anyway. Moving to Sunday, Salernitana hosting Torino. Currently, Salernitana a 1/4 goal underdog at home. Over/under is 2 1/4. Seems a little cheap, but Torino, honestly, has been getting a lot more respect recently, and it could trend up higher towards half of a goal favorite on the road, because they have almost all the juice right now. Don't really have a great feeling for Salernitana, though, at this point. Lazio hosting Empoli. Lazio a 1-goal favorite. Over/under is 2 3/4. Empoli, I feel like I want to start backing them. They keep getting these really big numbers, but it's also not great having to play Udinese and then Lazio back-to-back with only a few days off in between. That's tough. Don't really have a feel for over/under, because Lazio can blast people, which also makes me not want to back a road team that I don't really feel great about. Spezia hosting Lecce. Currently, Spezia a pick'em with all the juice right now. Lecce with a very strong line coming out of the break, and I like them, and we'll be looking to back them, but I thought they were very competitive in the early part of the season. Over/under is 2 1/4, and I don't really know if I feel any sort of thing besides the Lecce side here, because I just don't like Spezia and what I've seen from them so far. Sampdoria 1 1/4 goal underdog to Napoli. Over/under is 2 3/4. Sampdoria, I just can't trust to hang with anyone that's good. Napoli, the best team so far this season in Serie A. Not a good recipe right there. AC Milan, a 1/2 goal favorite to Roma. A pretty big match coming up this weekend. Over/under is 2 1/4. And it feels a little bit big to me. Milan have done really well in Serie A, winning the Scudetto last season. And ultimately, what they haven't done in Europe, though they had a good Champions League this year. Moving on, Roma have been a little pretty disappointing, though I don't know that these two teams are that different. Certainly give a 1/4 of a goal for home pitch advantage, HPA in this sport. But I think Roma are a little bit closer. I just don't really trust their defense, really, and that's a weird thing to say about Jose Mourinho. Moving to Monday, Verona hosts Cremonese. Verona a 1/2 goal favorite. All the juice on Cremonese right now. Take that half, which makes sense, because Verona can't win matches, and so a draw, you win a full bet on Cremonese. It makes sense that would be expensive. Over/under is 2.5, and I feel like where there's 3 goals going to come from in this one. And last but not least, Bologna hosts Atalanta. Bologna a 1/4 goal underdog at home. Over/under is 2.5. Feels like a pretty short over/under, and honestly, I think that speaks to Bologna not being able to score very much. But seeing them only a 1/4 goal underdog at home makes me feel like those two numbers don't jive very well. But maybe the market is supporting Bologna. I trust the Serie A market more than anything else. They've definitely gotten in trouble for match fixing and things in the past. Not accusing anybody right now, but I will say, when there's weird lines, fishy lines, rat lines, as some may call them in Serie A, then you usually want to believe that. And Bologna, I feel like, are one of those teams right now. Though Atalanta certainly aren't the biggest team or biggest name out there, they've been really good for multiple seasons. So to join my Mallorca under 2 1/4 best bet from Spain, now to figure out a Serie A matchup or best bet. Nothing for Sassuolo. I do lean to under 2.5 in Udinese Juventus. Would rather have probably a +1 on Udinese, though I don't know if I think I still might like under better there. Monza +1 I'm looking at, but not ready to make that a best bet. Salernitana don't really have a good feel for and want to see Torino keep getting bet as this number climbs higher. Then the home dog Salernitana becomes a lot more interesting. Nothing for the Empoli Lazio match. Lecce, I want to see them a quarter goal underdog, but I don't have that right now. Just a pick 'em even money. So that's not good enough for me there. Don't like Sampdoria. Roma, I think, are on the list, but probably are not a great decision. Cremonese, I do like getting half of a goal from Verona. Also, that under 2.5, because I don't know where goals come from. Seriously looks like a goalless match, and somehow it's 2.5 is an over under. And then last but not least, Bologna, that really shady number, very short quarter from Atalanta, unless there's some huge injuries, suspensions. Gasparini quit. I'm not sure what the heck happened. But Bologna look like one of those numbers that probably do get to the window, but you feel like you don't have enough the whole way that they get there. For my best bet in Serie A, I'm going to go under 2.5 in the Verona Cremonese match to match with the under 2.25 in Mallorca and Valladolid. Now it's time. I'll give an ultimate best bet in a second, but going to read a recent 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Awesome show. From Hank Stamper 78. Thank you, Hank. I assume that's not some sort of inappropriate thing I'm reading, but ultimately I said I'd read it, so I will. I don't miss any of Griffin's podcasts. Great for making money. Cash emoji, or I guess it's a bag of coins emoji, if I was going to be exact. Thank you, Hank, for putting that through. Everyone else, come on through, send them through. You got some time. Leaving me a 5-star review would be huge. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're on Apple Podcasts, same sort of thing. 5-star review would be awesome. If you're on Twitter, hit the follow button, the real_G Warner. That's certainly more appreciated. And you get to see all the college basketball stuff that you could ever want that's coming out. Podcasts, all those sort of things as well. Also, since I'm making this episode on behalf of pregame.com as well, how could I forget this deep into an episode? It's late. Sorry, everybody. But use the promo code KICK20, KICK20. Get 20% off for all listeners of this European Soccer Podcast. It's good for 7 days for podcast release. So you got until the 13th of January. Get on in there. Do it. My picks, I try to put my next day card out before I go to sleep, which reminds me I got to do that as soon as I sign this podcast off. Wahoo, it's going to be a late night for your boy, almost 1 a.m. local time anyway. Perfect timing, get ready for the weekend. Use the promo code KICK20 on pregame if you want to get some access to college basketball or soccer, or of course any of the other great handicappers there. Essentially using pregame as a spot for you all to get my stuff coming out overnight instead of having to wait for match day and things of that nature, especially because soccer is a really tough time to get stuff out there, considering how early it starts. With that said, the ultimate best bet for this podcast episode, number 156, I believe. I'm going to go Cremonese, or the Verona Cremonese, under 2.5. I think it's really hard for me to see goals in that one. Verona have had a really tough start to the season. Thankfully had the World Cup break to work on things. They're gonna have to prove a lot to me that they've changed anything. Don't really believe that they have any goals. Their defense is problematic, but I don't know that Cremonese, a newly promoted side, can really challenge that. So I'll go under 2.5 in that one as my ultimate best bet. Thanks everyone for coming, tuning in, doing all that sort of stuff. I really appreciate all the support, love, all that sort of stuff. Heart emoji, blah, 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 anything like that. Might do another episode coming up for if there's a good reason this weekend. I don't know if that'll happen, but certainly trying to get more back on a regular cadence when all the matches are back returning and they're not playing random cup games and are not playing random days during the week. It's been a grind, but thanks everyone for riding with me so far. We'll get some more winners your way, and look forward to talking to y'all soon.